Global Banking and Finance Review Awards highlight the innovation, achievement, strategy, progressive and inspirational changes taking place within the global financial community. The awards were created to recognize companies of all sizes who've excelled in particular areas of expertise and excellence within the global financial community. This time, we're pleased to offer reinsurance company BARENTS RE a Global Banking Award. Known as the world's niche reinsurer, BARENTS RE has a financial strength rating of A for excellent. The company has a comprehensive range of product lines and industry sectors, including energy, commercial property, bonds, liability, marine cargo, renewable energy, financial lines, construction engineering, and life and A&H. With a global network of worldwide offices, BARENTS RE covers the world. Global Banking is pleased to award BARENTS Best Reinsurance Company Italy 2018. Recently, CEO Gerardo Garcia came to the London office to receive the award from GBAF's Lydia Goff. Well, Gerardo, thank you very much indeed for inviting us to your offices today, and indeed congratulations on the award as well.
Well, thank you so much for the award. We're very happy to be nominated and to receive it.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit more about BARENTS RE and your main areas of business.
Well, BARENTS RE is a global multi-line reinsurer. We operate in about 60 countries worldwide. Our main lines are basically we are a specialist reinsurer, basically in the areas of energy, bonds, where we operate in specific markets, liability, and marine cargo, and some property, but basically we are a specialist market, very much focused on the facultative area of the market.
What are some of the challenges facing the reinsurance business at the moment, would you say? Quite a lot.
I think we can talk about that the entire day, but reinsurance, I think, is facing a number of challenges. First, there is because of changes in weather and patterns, there is an increased frequency and severity on cat events, which is impacting the solvency of insurers, and basically putting a lot of uncertainty on the underwriting. Last year, we had one of the most active hurricane seasons in the Caribbean and in Latin America, also some events on the typhoon season in Asia. We may have a similar event this year, and we'll have to see how the solvency of the market actually reacts to that. On the second hand, there's a second point, that is the political tension worldwide, the threat of sanctions, which are difficult to foresee, and the effects are felt worldwide. Are we going back to a sort of a Cold War mentality? And thirdly, I think on a global scenario, reinsurers have to adapt to living in a less global world. The world is becoming no more global, but less. Countries are retrenching. England is going out of the European Union. So you have to foresee that different economic blocks may be formed, maybe smaller, and maybe more trade restrictions will happen, and this will impact also the flow of people around. We have grown accustomed to going everywhere and flying around. That may not be as easy and necessarily the case in the future.
So, just to sum up what you're saying, really the political situation around the world can have a very big effect on how you run your business.
Well, certainly. If, as you can see now, the sanctions in Russia from the U.S. and and Europe is seeing if it implements it or not, because it has economic effects in Europe, automatically impacts the business of reinsurance, because we are subject. We have some policies on business interruption, on political risk, that basically will be impacted, and also the way that we trade our licenses around the world and in different markets might be canceled, or we may have to see a different way of actually accessing specific markets.
Given all that, how do you remain competitive in that changing world of politics?
Well, very difficult. I think our strategy since a few years back is basically based on direct integration, on going directly to the business in a more direct way, and basically cutting some of the intermediation areas. In Europe, we are pursuing a strategy to actually, on the bank insurance area and in some of the areas, to actually own the channel, totally or partial. And this may include buying some banking or finance operations in some of the markets that we're interested in. So to basically be able to vertically integrate and be able to source that business directly. We may not be the only reinsurer thinking of this, but we're probably one of the most advanced on this idea of doing it, because basically we are a niche reinsurer, so we don't have to integrate into everything, but in specific areas of the market where we're interested in doing it. So for us, maybe simpler than from other players that have a legacy issue on their own business.
And looking at your own business strategy, you've outlined that a little bit. Can you expand a little bit more on how you see your business strategy?
Well, I think strategically, we're living in an age of uncertainty. For example, here in the UK, what is the actual form of a post-Brexit reinsurance market in the UK? Nobody's able to give you an answer today. So it's difficult for reinsurers to plan. At the same time, you have to give clients, markets, insurance players worldwide certainty. This is very complex and difficult. There is a disconnect between the political apparatus in Europe, basically around the world, and the economic function. And this disconnect is causing a disruption in the way companies can plan for the future on a mid to long term basis. Having said that, we are focused on a very specific lines of business and on having local presence in the market, so that we are exposed to that specific risk, but not on a broader scale. And as I said before, on vertical integration and concentration and access to a specific business and markets.
And while you're running that business, obviously the client experience is vital. How important is that, would you say, the role of the client experience itself?
Well, in our business is a bit difficult to define the client, because as a reinsurer, as a classical reinsurer, the clients are insurance companies and large corporations. What we are actually trying to do is to, as we integrate vertically, to go directly to the client itself, the consumer on the street. That is truly the challenge of reinsurance in our days, to be able really to add value directly and not just to be a provider of capacity for financial institutions or insurance companies. And that also has a different level of skill set and preparation. In our view, reinsurers have to evolve and add value in that framework on a way that they have protection against other competitors, because you basically own the channel, you have developed the products, and the clients basically respond to a product offering that adds value in a specific market. Mm-hmm. It's more costly because now, rather than having products worldwide, you have to establish presence in specific countries, regions, and the rest. So the distribution is more costly. But you're eliminating layers. And by doing that, it should compensate. This is a strategy, and we have to see how it is. But it gives you the certainty of having a specific business that is yours, and you can add value into it, and you can only develop it.
And presumably, just as an additional point to that, the country, or the countries you're talking about, then your approach has to vary somewhat, because everybody has different needs?
Well, as you know, we're we have business in Europe, the Middle East, Asia, Latin America mainly, and some in Africa. Each market is different. If you try to approach a blanket market response, it will be wrong. I was last week in Turkey, and Turkey right now has, on the consumer and on the business side, specific challenges and uncertainties that reflect the political uncertainty that they have locally. Europe and some of the markets have, in their own sense, their own political uncertainties. The U.S. is all about uncertainty right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. So the world has become uncertain, and people want predictability, which is incoherent in an uncertain world to be able to plan for the long future. And that's the challenge that reinsurers are facing, and mostly every financial institution is facing. How do you plan for the future with a level of certainty in a very uncertain world where you don't know exactly what is going to happen, not a year from now, but maybe 3 months down the line? And many of the things that happened were probably for many unthinkable. And that presents challenges itself, and also on the strategy execution. It's very difficult to do it. And I think at the end of the day, nobody has a magic lamp that you can predict the future. And there will be winners and losers. Those who actually chose and had the luck of the outcome being more on their side, and others that chose a strategy that actually, on the overall certainty, the environment didn't go their way. And that's pretty much how the world is divided today, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying there completely. Looking to the future, what are your current plans for expansion and development?
Our current plans include to diversify and strengthen our focus to some of the European markets, which we have identified as key, some of the markets in the Middle East, and some expansion into Asia. Obviously, we have to determine what's going to happen in China with their trade war with the U.S. and the rest. But also in our mind, also the U.K. after Brexit may become a market that is interesting, because obviously when you have threats, there's also opportunities. and we'll have to see it. I think the UK might become a very competitive market because it will have to become a competitor to the European Union sooner or later, because that's at the end of the day the case that you have to compete or die. And the UK, I think, will, after Brexit, probably become a much more competitive market, not necessarily tied so much to the European economy, but maybe a more global based player. We have to see how that evolves and be ready to adapt the strategy towards that.
Interesting times ahead, as you say.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming
Thank
to
you so
talk
much.
to us today, and congratulations once again on the award as well.
Thank you for your work. Thank you so much.